All right, friends, we are back with a new video on our good friend Jason Blaha, man. So we're gonna do a reaction video to the gym lifting, recruiting, fitness slave himself, Jason Blaha. So Jason Blaha says, oh man, this is funny. Does a strict form cause better muscle gains? Yeah, okay. Strict form.
Does good form equal more gains? Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha.
How does a form how does a form build a gain? But it is to have, I mean, the point of good form really is so you don't get injured. Look, concentric people need good form because they're weak eccentrically. So if they were to ever lose their form and they were to enter that realm of eccentric, they could get injured. And that's where all the injuries happen, in the eccentric. Want to know why? Because all these concentric lifters in the gym are all weak. You get it, bro? They're weak because they're not strong eccentrically. They're only good at one thing, lifting concentrically, which is really odd, really, when you think about it.
Here, and I thought I would chat with you guys and gals a little bit about this today. If you guys would please remember to click like down below. If you aren't subscribed or following me, please do so. And if you would please leave me a comment under the video.
I would, but you banned me. If you unban me, then maybe I can write you a comment there, Blaha.
I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, let's get over to the topic. This is something where we could use some common sense. We could use some biomechanics, and we actually have studies that have looked at this. So again, kind of an interesting topic, because a lot of times people have confusion on this. They're like, a lot of people tell you strict form really matters for getting results. They focus on it, and then you see other pro bodybuilders and people who have really loose form, a lot of almost cheating movements, who have ridiculously phenomenal physiques. So what's the answer?
They have phenomenal physiques. Okay, they took drugs. They continued in that behavior, lifting concentrically, and they have good-looking physiques. They have a cosmetic physique. It's fake, okay? Now, if you want to take cosmetics to have a cosmetic physique, then do that. You can do that. Now, you want to do it naturally? Well, most people do it naturally. They stay skinny, and then they lose a lot of body fat. That's what they do. They try to compete with the steroid look. The only problem is they just don't have the muscle to go with it. So they look very lean and skinny. That's about it.
Actually, as you would probably imagine, it's a little bit nuanced, right? It's a little bit nuanced. There is not a straightforward, simple yes or no to this. However, some things to think about. What you have to look at with any exercise is the muscle that you are trying to work.
What exactly is he doing here? He's just wasting his time. He building a booty?
The one that fails. Okay, so if you were to take any lift to failure, and I don't care if it's a cheat curl, a pull-up, some sort of bench, some sort of squat, leg exercise, whatever you happen to be doing, whatever you are doing, if you have a target muscle that you are trying to work, because we all have one muscle we care about on that lift, if we're trying to use it for the purpose of building muscle, we're not talking about powerlifting at this point, or moving the heaviest weight, we're talking about building muscle.
Building muscle or tearing down muscle to build it?
There's probably a muscle that you care about more. On your squats, you might really care about the quads. Or you might be trying to squat for glutes or whatever you're trying to do. The same thing with any other exercise. What you've got to look at is, in any situation in which the muscle that fails, if you were to go to muscle failure, is the target muscle.
I love this. Favorite muscle, man. Just, okay, whatever.
Probably okay on the form from a muscle growth perspective, and it really is that simple. That should be common sense, and then I'll get over to what the studies say, but then we'll talk about other things to think about. As far as my muscle connection, injuries, things like that. Those are important things to think about. With any individual lift, when it's been studied, it turns out that even if you use fairly bad form or loose form, because they're not always the same, are they? A lot of times form can actually be pretty good, but still be loose, still be a little bit cheaty, but it's still a very smooth, correct form for that muscle group. Okay, depending upon the person and how they apply it. It's kind of why mind-muscle connection matters a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. So in that context, what's been found in studies, there's no difference. as long as the muscle that you are trying to work is the muscle that receives enough work that it reaches failure at some point, if you were to take it to failure. You don't have to go to failure, obviously. But if it's the muscle that is getting the most fatigue, okay, if it is the muscle getting the most fatigue, what happens? It grows. You'll get the same growth from looser form that you will from really strict form. This is
If you're fatiguing a muscle, the only growth you're going to get in there is sarcoplasmic growth because you're a high volume trainer. I mean, you're training high volume, meaning you're coming in often. And it's just sarcoplasmic, which is fake. So, but whatever. I mean, it's just glycogen anyways, but whatever, man. Okay, Blaha, you're building a muscle in the gym. Gyms are building me muscle. Look, Mom, I'm building a muscle, curling. Whee! Man, Blaha is really funny. Come on. You really got to laugh at this stuff, man. I listen to these videos. Bro, in the back of my mind, I'm just laughing every time I listen to him. He's funny.
What they found in the lab, can't really tell them apart. And if you use some common sense, let's step back and think about that. Let's say you didn't have any studies looking at that, and you just used your brain and a little bit of common sense. Wouldn't that make sense? Well, yeah, obviously if the muscle is getting stimulus and it is the one that's being fatigued, it's going to get the most growth. Because the same thing would apply to compound movement, right? Because all compound movements use other muscles. Just because you're doing it strict, like a cheat curl is not. Use other muscles. Just because you're doing it strict, like a cheat curl is not strict, but because it's working other muscles. Well, a bench press works more than one muscle. Are we saying a bench press doesn't grow anything? A chin up works like 5 major muscles, right? Wait.
Look, man, you could lift to high heaven. If you're not damaging your muscles, they're not growing. It's really simple. There's no damage, you're not growing any myofibulars. You get it, man? It's really simple. So I don't know why you're going to the gym lifting concentrically. This ain't powerlifting, bro. Get it? And adapted, coming in every day to a gym. Muscles, they don't grow every day in gyms. Get it? I don't know what this guy's talking about.
Chin up? Are we saying nobody gets big weighted chin ups? Come on, of course they do. So, is the muscle getting stimulus still? It's not does it keep tension on it? It's like, is it getting the brunt of the tension? Is it getting the most of it?
The thing is this, what about the bone, the micro tears in the bone? It takes specific exercise to cause micro tears in bones. Eccentric exercise causes that because there's more mechanical tension, there's more eccentric, more mechanical tension, there's more stress on the bone. It causes these micro tears. What about that? What about the tears in the ligaments and tendons and the muscles? How long does that take to repair and remodel after you get that? If you're getting that, which none of you are getting that, and neither is Blaha, because nobody trains eccentrically. Everybody trains concentrically in the gym. They're all lifting slaves. Just going to lift for no reason. You're like a factory worker going to a factory every day to lift boxes and not even get paid for it, which is really odd. To lift another guy's weights in his gym, pay him money, you go there to waste your time to lift a weight? Now, there are some people, they buy weights and they lift now in their home. They lift in their home now. They have weights at home and they lift at home. They don't even go to the gym. At least they've saved their money. At least they're lifting their own weights at home instead of paying a guy at some gym to lift his weights, which is crazy.
Muscle that fails. Right, that's what we're looking
like
at.
Like Blaha, he has enslaved himself. He's built this mausoleum in this garage with these weights, and he keeps lifting these artificial weights every day in the gym. I mean, in the garage. And he makes these funny videos every day. He just makes up weird shit. It's all fake.
And again,
because he needs money, so he has to keep creating. He's just creating. It's fit. Look, there's only one way to build muscle, but the point is, and get more strength, which is you just need one exercise. But you can't not make. You could make videos on one subject all the time. It gets boring after a while. See what I mean? So Blaha, he has to keep you entertained with a bunch of fake stuff. And there's a lot of people out there that don't even know what's going on. So they're like, they write in this comment section, Blaha, you're amazing. Oh, that was a great video, whatever. Then, he posts these like workout videos, some fake workout videos, people, something, him. Man, he just talks about fake stuff all day. It's just ridiculous. But anyways, I will keep making these reaction videos to these fake videos that he keeps making. Why not? I don't care. YouTube is paying me now too for my commercials. I don't care. I don't really make money on YouTube, to tell you the truth. They're paying. I guess they're paying for the videos people are watching. But I'm simply reacting and giving opinion and evidence and stuff to what he's saying is just absolutely ridiculous.
You can apply that on every single exercise, case by case by case. Okay? So when you look at it from that perspective, it does make sense why you
Is he wearing baby oil? I think he put some oil on his skin there.
will see certain bodybuilders who they have a really loose form on some exercises, right? You look at it and go, man, that's not strict at all. But he is clearly getting results from that movement. And you can't always dismiss it as, well, it's just because he's on
Clearly.
drugs. Yes,
Yes, clearly he is. Yes, yes.
obviously he is, and obviously that's a factor with a big bodybuilder. But you still need stimulus, right? I think all of us understand that. You still got to stimulate the muscle.
Still gotta stimulate the muscle. Okay, stimulate. Right. Okay.
Otherwise, it's going to stop growing even on stuff. But there's
So it'll stop growing if you don't stimulate the muscle. Okay, yeah.
a limit to how much stuff will stimulate muscle.
Are his muscles growing? Do they look like they're growing? Where are they going exactly? Where do they need to go? How much can he grow? Where are they going? What exactly is he doing here?
Growth, even in the lab with no training. So you have to be working the muscle. But you look at that and go, okay, so then it makes sense. And what you will find is that
Doesn't seem to make sense to me, but whatever.
a lot of really good bodybuilders,
The hell do I know?
one of the things that makes them a good bodybuilder is
Yeah.
they have a good body awareness.
They do they?
That makes sense. Like it's also called kinesthetic IQ.
Fake
They have good
bodybuilders.
body awareness. They tend to be able to feel muscles when they're working a little better than average. Sometimes it's something you can learn with focus and practice, but some people take to that naturally. They just do. A lot of pro athletes have that just inherently. That's why they become pro athletes. They're just good at feeling movements correctly and learning them. So in that case, their form might be a little loose, but they're also going, I personally really feel this muscle deeply when I use that form. I get a deep burn in it. Okay. They're not just using the form just to throw a bigger weight around always. They're using that form that they personally feel that muscle in. Well, that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Again, step back, just use some common sense and go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Particularly if they're a very, very experienced lifter and they can feel their body really well. They're clearly working that muscle then, if they're feeling that burn in it, even with that looser form. All right. So you have that, but does it mean that it's necessarily growing more than if they just use really strict form? Possibly not. Probably not, but in a few cases, yes, it might actually be if they end up getting a better stimulus and just it feels better. In some cases, not going to say that's the majority of the time, but it definitely can be some cases. All right, the other downside, higher risk of injury. Your injury rates are lower if your form is strict, and it's just common sense. Doesn't mean if you use some cheat curls and some cheat laterals that you're automatically going to get hurt. No, of course not. Again, use some common sense. Does that guarantee that you're going to get hurt? No. You might go 20 years doing it and never get an injury. And that's great. But what we're talking about, relative risk. Yes, looser form and cheating on some exercises.
You gotta feel the weights. You gotta feel the muscles. You gotta loose form and everything. Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna feel it concentrically, a lot going on there, but you're definitely gonna feel it eccentrically. That's for sure. In real bodybuilding, I don't know about Blaha's world, the fake world, but whatever, man. It is what it is.
More than others, definitely on some exercises more than others, can raise your risk of injuries.
Sure.
Okay? So if what we would say, what's a common sense answer? Really common sense answer would be, okay, unless you really and truly do feel that muscle more with that looser form, and if you do, then you do by all means. I would still tell someone if they get a better mind-muscle connection with that looser form, I would say to do it. Now, unless you do though, but if you can get the same thing with a stricter form, it's probably just better to use a stricter form most of the time. Okay, just because slightly reduced chance of injury over time. And is it a big deal? It's probably not a big deal. But it does add up. If you're going to do this for years and years and years, we're all possibly going to get hurt eventually. Let's try to reduce the risk a little bit. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals.
Man, we're not going to get hurt. Only stupid people get hurt like Blaha. But if you're smart, you're not going to get hurt. But if you're stupid, you will get hurt. Get it? Weak people get hurt. People that are weak, they get hurt. I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, friends. Don't you think about that? Like, subscribe, support the channel. Blaha's funny, man. What a waste of time.